Hello, this is Peter B. Welcome to the channel. And I'd like to tell you about a stat that will probably never happen again. And that stat is a pitcher winning a baseball game without even throwing a pitch. Now, pitch tracking records have only been kept since the 80s. And since then, B.J. Ryan, who you see here, did it in 2003 for the Baltimore Orioles against the Detroit Tigers. Tigers shortstop Omar Infante had just driven in the go-ahead run with 2 outs with a single. It was now 2-1 in top of the 7th inning. B.J. Ryan entered the game as a relief pitcher. He threw over to first base before throwing the home plate and picked off Infante for the 3rd out. Orioles scored 3 runs in bottom of the 7th, and another Oriole pitcher came in to start the 8th. So B.J. Ryan was the pitcher of record. He was still in the game when the Orioles took the lead, even though he never even threw a single pitch. That's pretty impressive. So this is B.J. Ryan, Topps Total card from 2003. A pitcher recorded as getting a win without even throwing a single pitch. And the second time it happened, in July 2009, Alan Embry of the Rockies won a game without throwing a pitch against the Washington Nationals. Embry came in with 2 outs in a tied game. Austin Kearns was on first. Embry threw over and picked Kearns off for the 3rd out without throwing a pitch to home plate. Rockies then took the lead in the bottom of the inning, and then another pitcher came in, but Embry was still the pitcher of record and got the win without throwing a single pitch. So once again, here's another Topps total. Shows him on the Boston Red Sox instead of the 19 on the Rockies. This was a little earlier in his career in 2004. But he is the second and last pitcher to get a win without throwing a single pitch. Now, there might have been a third going way back to 1970. Now, remember, the record of balls thrown wasn't calculated until the 80s, and this happened in 1970. July 1st, 1970. Angels are down 2-1 against the Brewers. Greg Garrett, that's him on the left, came in on relief with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Tommy Hopper, a base stealing threat, was on first, and Garrett picked him off. Angels then scored 3 times in the top of the 7th, and a different pitcher came in to finish up the game. And once again, Greg Garrett was the pitcher of record because he was still in the game when his team scored the go-ahead runs. Now, one newspaper article from the Wausau Daily Herald says Greg Garrett received credit for the victory without throwing a pitch. A second newspaper, the Long Island Beach Independent, says 2 men out, Tommy Hopper at first. Garrett threw 1 pitch to Mike Hegan before he picked off Hopper. So, did he throw a pitch or did he not? To break the tie, we can go to the Los Angeles Times, and they also said Garrett threw no pitches, so we'll give the honor to him as doing it. 2 for sure, most likely 3, since 1970. Now, was there more that we don't know about? I mean, 1970 is a little more than 100 years since baseball first became professional in 1869. So within those 100+ years, yes, chances are someone did it. It was just never written down. But then again, think about it. Pitchers tended to last the whole game. And if you are a reliever, you're expected to finish up the game or at least pitch some and pass it over to the next guy. There weren't specialists like today that would come in and face one batter and leave. So most likely, just because the nature of baseball in prior to 1970, this would not occur. I'm not saying it didn't, but probably did not. Now, going forward, from 2020 into the future, will this happen? I don't think so, unless there is a double play involved in a pickoff throw, because as of 2020, new rule, relief pitchers coming into the game must pitch to 3 batters. So unless there's a guy and 2 men on the bases and during the pickoff attempt, both of them or at least one of them gets into a rundown and both are tagged out, this will probably never occur. So the only time a pitcher gets credit for a win without throwing a pitch, we got B.J. Ryan for the Nationals, Alan Embry of then the Rockies, and Greg Garrett of the Angels. And this is 1970 Garrett rookie as part of the Angels rookie card. In the back, number 642. So pretty impressive. It could be just these 3 players, or definitely 2, are the only ones that will ever have this honor. Now, there's something even more peculiar that would probably never, ever happen again. Chances are it won't. Now, I don't have a baseball card of this player, so we'll just look at the Angels rookie card. In 1963, starting pitcher for the Mexican League, the Mexico City Tigers, was going against the visiting team, and I can't not pronounce it, the Pericos de Puebla. In top of the 5th inning, there was a short circuit causing the game to be suspended. Now, Mexican rules at the time says any suspended game must continue to be played at the end of the season. The score was 3-2 in favor of the Tigers. So the Tigers, the team Ruiz was on, was winning. But the Pericos had 2 men on base that were still responsible to Ruiz. So yes, the Tigers are up by 1 run, but there were still 2 baseballs that Morales Ruiz had led on base. Now, before the season ended, Ruiz was traded to the Pericos, who were in the pennant race, which they eventually won. So Mario Ruiz has now changed teams, and he is a member of the Pericos. But there was still a game to finish. So when play resumed, a Pericos player, remember they were at bat when the power went off, singled, scoring both runners. The score was now 4-3 Pericos. The 2 scoring runners were charged to Ruiz, as he originally put them on base. So if the score remained, Ruiz would get the loss. Even though he's no longer a member of the Tigers, he still was the responsible pitcher, and he would get the loss. So now leading the game, the Pericos brought in no other than pitcher Mario Ruiz. He proceeded to hold the Tigers scoreless for the rest of the game, and the Pericos won. Now, since the original Pericos pitcher did not go 5 innings, didn't go 5 innings when the power went off, and plus Ruiz was already in there, so I don't know how many innings he went, but it's definitely less than 5. The rule is the first reliever to come in and get the win is Ruiz. So in that one single game, Mario Ruiz lost the game for the Tigers and won the game for the Pericos. Something that will probably never, ever happen again. And this is probably the only case it has happened. But it's pretty nifty, getting a loss and a win for the same exact game. Well, I hope you learned a little bit of tidbit of information, and thank you for watching.